if your truck keeps blowing injectors and you don't know why, well, here's a few tips on why it would be doing that. Alright, so what was happening with me was rough idle. It would chop and chop and chop until it warmed up, then it was alright. But, and then, it blew an injector. So I went, bought a new injector, put it in, and 2 days later, the other injector went. And it kept doing this for maybe about 2-3 weeks until I got tired of it. Well, I tried looking into it, right? Couldn't figure out much. The only thing I could figure out was a faulty ignition module, which is usually the first thing that it goes to. But I was driving out to a creek there, and this thing all of a sudden just died on me. Completely died on me. And, well, I couldn't figure out what was going on, and it was trapped on the side of the road, so I did a little bit of research, and these things don't really have very good grounds. And that could be cause a bunch of things from, your dash cluster acting up to, whatever. It can be damn near everything. So I went and I replaced my ground straps. I have this one going from the frame to the body, and then from the body to the head, and then I have the big one just going from the frame to the head. And I replaced the ignition module, and well, first I replaced the ignition module and it blew it almost instantly. So I'm like, okay, something's not right. So I did my grounds, new ignition module, new injectors, and it ran fine, no problems for months. And I finally thought I figured out the injector problem, why it kept failing. And then 2 weeks ago, it failed on me again. I'm like, now what the hell is going on with this thing, right? So if you look in here, after of course you do grounds and everything, because that's why my injector module or my ignition module failed, was because of faulty or weak ground. So the charge was building up in the motor and had nowhere to go to complete a circuit. But anyway, the injector blew after all of that, and what I figured out is what most people do is you have this fuel regulator right here, and what most people do is there's a screw at the bottom, and they grind off the solder for this screw, right? And then you can adjust your fuel pressure, your fuel pressure in your regulator that goes to your injectors, right? Well, mine was all out of whack. It was right up at the top. There's a little lip over here, you probably can't see it, but it's a little lip on the side and it's got a hole in it, and you can see how it's adjusted, right? Now, I couldn't find anything on the forums or nothing for what the how many turns it's supposed to be in or out, etc. And I did a little messing around with it. I would have it completely tightened. Fuel pressure would be so high that the truck wouldn't even spray out of the injectors. So then I brought it all the way to the bottom. Excess, dumping so much fuel, it was crazy. It was basically drowning the truck, right? And so, halfway, it's still kind of doing a little bit of both. So I have it about a quarter up from the bottom, and that's even that, or a little less, seems to be the proper amount of pressure, whatever that these things like to run off of. But long story short, if you end up messing with the fuel pressure screw or whatever for the regulator, chances are you're either going to be getting too much fuel or not enough fuel through your injectors, which would cause them to overheat and basically fail internally. Now, this is the only explanation I can come up with for why these were failing continuously. So after some fine-tuning with it, got it all done, and it seemed to fix the problem. So I couldn't find anything on the forums about this problem in particularly, so I thought I'd make a video on it. So I mean, going back from the beginning is number one, check grounds. Number two, if your grounds are bad and it's still acting like shit, probably fried your ignition module. Now, if it's, you're still getting a problem or whatever, or if it's not, if you're not getting a pulse to your injectors, it can usually be from the computer ground, because the computer needs to ground the pulse from the pickup coil in the distributor in order to send it to the injectors. And the only way to test that is, you get a Noid light, like a little LED, and you check to see the pulse. A regular, a regular test light won't work because the voltage is too low for it to make the light flash fast enough to see if you have a pulse. So yeah, grounds, ignition module, computer ground. A lot of these have factors. Mainly it's the grounds that affects, the Chevys most and foremost. But the other reason why they can be failing continuously is if you have low fuel pressure. And now there's a variety of ways you can check that, but I had my pump done just like a couple weeks ago because it's old, had to be done anyway, but that wasn't my problem for my injectors. It was the actual adjustment for the fuel regulator, because basically you have, here, I'll show you guys. Alright, so this is what it looks like on the inside. You'll have your diaphragm on here. Your spring will go up there, and when you take this off, there will be spring pressure, so just make sure you have your finger on this. So basically how this works is the spring applies pressure to this diaphragm, and on the other side of this diaphragm is like a little swivel, basically. So when the fuel pressure overrides the spring pressure, this will, lift up, turn, so that burst of fuel can get out to your injectors, right? So it just basically keeps constant pressure in the system, right? Without, backing it up against the injectors or whatever. But so if your pressure is too high, your fuel will have a hard time getting past this little swivel here, and you'll be starving it for fuel. You'll have more fuel pressure, but less fuel will be getting through. If you have it too low, too much fuel will be going through. You'll have lower pressure, and vice versa. But that's basically how this works. This fuel in, it's fuel out, presses on this. Once the pressure overruns the spring pressure, it allows fuel into the canal, and so forth. So basically, I found that this is the proper adjustment from factory. This are a little lower, and it's I couldn't find anything on forums or nothing for the adjustment of this, so I was doing plug and play, drive around for a week, mess with it, drive around, see how the truck runs, see if I blow another injector. And yeah, when it was too low or too high, I would be blowing injectors all the frickin' time. Now I found that this adjustment right here, or like the stock height for it, spring pressure seems to be good, and once I brought it back, I had no more issues. So that's a few things that it can be if you are blowing injectors continuously. I definitely check to see if anyone has fiddled with this if you haven't looked at it before. It could also be reasons why it runs rough sometimes, or well, not sometimes, runs rough when you start it, or has a hard time starting. Your adjustment for your fuel pressure regulator could be out of whack. But yeah, I couldn't find anything on the forums or nothing, so here's just thought I'd make this to give you a few pointers in the right direction. But yeah.